Hi, welcome back to Badge and Business Pentwater Talks. I'm your host, Laud Hartram, and I'm here with my co host, Eva Gregor. And today we're
Hi.
going to be talking about short term rentals and
How to be a good
how to be a
neighbor.
good neighbor. Yeah, yeah. So, real
Short-term
quickly, uh,
rentals, it's a hot topic.
it is a very hot topic,
hmm
especially here in Pentwater.
Yes.
So we're not going to go into a whole bunch of back history on it, but for the sake of this recording, let's say we're authorized to have 80 short-term rental units in the village of Pentwater. So short-term rental units are folks that are residential properties that they are renting out for less than 1 month at a time is technically the definition of a short-term rental. And in Pentwater, we permit 80 of those. Um, the permit process really starts in December, and it's all over by January 1. And so, yeah, we have about 80 of them village wide. Now, I will tell you that folks that are renting in violation of that ordinance, we do go out, we do patrol for that, we do look for that. And unfortunately, when that happens, we do issue citations for it. Now, all that being said, um, you know, they, for the most part, in the village of Pentwater, they are very good and we don't have a lot of problems. But sometimes we do. And so, Eva, you're going to talk a little bit about how to be a good neighbor.
Yes. And I will say for those who want to get on the short-term rental list in regards to having it be one of those 80 in Pentwater, there is a waiting list, but you do want to contact the Village of Pentwater to get on that list. Now, you will see for this is for any renters, any owners of short-term rentals. There is a good neighbor guide. It's very helpful. You'll find it all over, but mostly at the village office and at the Pentwater Chamber office here. It kind of just talks about, the village parks, the campfires, their trash and recycling, pets, quiet hours, parking, fireworks, golf carts. It's kind of just to keep in mind about your surrounding residents are not on vacation and many are actually working on a daily basis. So it's kind of just to respect your neighbors for it and always be that good neighbor that you would want at your own home. And generally, neighbors are great, so just be mindful of them.
Some of the complaints that we see or we get at the police department generally involve parking. A lot of them involve noise. Now, when you get down to the beach area, down near Charles Muir State Park, we have a lot of rentals down in that area. And folks, they try to maximize the opportunity they have to be in Pentwater, and so we get a lot of cars there. It is very, very important that you get those vehicles off the pavement and onto their designated parking spots. Because if you don't, it really interferes with us being able to get ambulances and public safety vehicles down into that area. So that's one issue that we have. The other issue, not so much, is the issue of noise. And in Pentwater, we have a noise ordinance that kicks in at 11 o'clock. So after 11 o'clock, we would ask that you keep the noise to a minimum if you can. And that is always appreciated in Pentwater. So one thing that also leads into this is when we have short-term rentals, we also have an ordinance covering camper permits. So this is not tents, this is not lean-tos, that kind of stuff. This is actual campers. So if you own an RV or a pop-up, that kind of thing, or a fifth wheel, unless you have a permit that are available at the village hall.
And just to
In addition,
clarify, these are permits to be parking in your own property, not at the
correct,
campground.
correct. So the campground is one thing, but if you're on one of the side streets in Pentwater, Carroll Street, Wythe, Rutledge, one of those, even if you're on a private residence, you have to have a camper permit if you have an RV or a camper on your property. for longer than 72 hours. If you're cleaning it, getting ready for the season, that's not a problem. If you have people staying in it, that's when the ordinance kicks in and you have to have a camper permit. So how does that work? Typically on the weekend, what we're going to do is if we find somebody in violation of that camper permit, you will see one of our PSOs that will be writing you a ticket for that. Don't panic because the ticket, the cost of that ticket will basically be the same cost as a camper permit. All right. But if you want to avoid that kind of interruption into your holiday weekend, get a hold of Village Hall, get the camper permit prior to that. Now, it's important too that you understand that it is not the person that's going to have the camper there that it gets the permit. It is the property owner that gets the permit to have the camper there. And that sometimes gets a little confusing for folks. So
I'm gonna text my sister-in-law right now to get hers because they always do one in July.
Yeah. So reach out to the Village Hall, get those camper permits. And when you're here, please, we want you to have all the fun and take advantage of all the things there are to do and see in Pentwater. But please be mindful of our noise ordinance and also the parking. Parking becomes a huge issue. Yeah, it's a huge issue here. The village of Pentwater was designed in the late 1800s. Okay. And when the streets were designed for horse and buggy. So they are not the wide super streets that you will find in urban areas. And so please be mindful of that.
Yes.
Anything else we need to fill them in on?
No, I think we'll probably touch on parking quite frequently throughout these series of.
We are. It's a never-ending vicious thing. Yes. It comes up every year. So with that said, this has been another episode of Badge and Business Pentwater Talks. If you like this podcast and you'd like to see more of them, please like or subscribe. Click like or subscribe to the links below. And if you want to know when we drop another episode, please click the little bell on the side of the screen and you'll be right up to speed. Thanks a lot.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time.